take a look at the betting that we have at matchbook.com. You can back Chelsea at 2.7, Arsenal are 2.82, and the draws available at 3.55. Both teams to score yes is 1.77. Chelsea draw no bet here is 1.91 or 10-11, and Arsenal just above evens in the same market at 2.02, and the goal line is 2.5. So Adrian, we'll stick with you for this one. BT Sport, I don't know if you've seen this, Adrian, you might see it in the coming days. BT Sport have a promotion for this game. Aubameyang's quoted saying Arsenal, it's nothing personal. It's probably a massive game for him, and I'd be very surprised if Potter doesn't throw him in and start him.
Yeah, I guess so. He did play midweek though, didn't he? So 33 years of age, playing a couple of games in quick succession that won't come easily to Aubameyang. I mean, he's doing okay. He's not setting the world alight, is he? I don't think Arsenal will be frightened of him. I was looking at some of the stats actually in terms of Oba in the Premier League, and he's ranking sort of 5th in most attacking categories for Chelsea in terms of shots, touches in the box, shots inside the box. He's not getting that many opportunities, but look, the narrative is there to be written, isn't it, for him to get one over on Mikel Arteta. Obviously, from a personal point of view, I hope that doesn't happen. It will be an interesting game. Real biggie, of course, the early kickoff on Sunday. Arsenal have won on their last 2 visits to Stamford Bridge, which feels weird because I've seen them lose so often at Stamford Bridge across the last 10 or 15 years. It's been a horrible place, but 2 good wins the last visits. And I'm just, if I can just stick with Chelsea for a bit, I'm just not that impressed with them. I think they're clearly a team in transition. Graham Potter will improve them, but I mean, in both boxes, they don't convince, do they? They've not really got that lethal finisher, that proper centre forward, as you call it, and inside their own box, pretty slack really for a Chelsea team. Chelsea have always been pretty solid, but not so much this season. In terms of the expected goals in open play, at the front end of the pitch, they rank 9th. Arsenal are 2nd to City. In terms of expected goals against in open play, Chelsea ranked 12th, which I find incredible, really. Arsenal, again, ranked 2nd to Manchester City in that category as well. So Arsenal in both boxes are doing a pretty good job. You can't say the same about Chelsea. From a tactical point of view, I think that Potter, I'd be surprised if Potter sticks with a 3-4-2-1 that he's largely started matches with in the Premier League. He moved away from that against Zagreb. I think he will again because that shape would I think help Arsenal. I think he needs a third body in midfield to sort of deal with Thomas Partey and the way that he can control a game. So I think that, I expect a 3 or 4 man midfield for Chelsea rather than just relying on a Jorginho on +1 or Kovacic +1. So I think Arsenal will go there with confidence. Saka will be fit. I think Martinelli should be fit. Jesus is due a goal. I think Arsenal, I'm pretty confident that Arsenal can go there and not get beaten. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to go and wipe the floor with Chelsea. But I think they can go there and get a result. Arsenal plus a quarter of a goal is my pick. So that way, even if it's a draw, we still make a profit. One caveat is that Potter has a good record against Arsenal. You'll know this, Daniel. I think he's won 3 of his 6 meetings against Arsenal. So, we're a little bit nervous when we play Potter teams, but I look at these 2 sides with my eyes and I think Arsenal are slightly better. Well, actually, quite a bit better.
Well, Chelsea don't have Mopé, to be fair. So Arsenal have every chance there. He's haunted Arsenal so many times. And incidentally, Saka took part in full training there yesterday. So I think the view is he will be fit for Sunday. Mark, I'll go to you. And Adrian touched on the formation. I think Potter's tried this Cucurella at left centre-back 3 or 4 times and is either changed it completely during the game or by the early second half. With Chilwell being injured, I think it kind of makes Potter's mind up here that realistically he will play that back 4.
Yeah, and injuries have really hurt Chelsea. You think of Reece James missing 2, as well as Chilwell. His options are fairly limited. I know they've got a big, deep squad, but I think there is a reason why Cucurella and Chalobah are being used regularly in centre-back options in a back three. Sterling's being utilised as a wing-back, or a perceived wing-back. It's because they are missing key players across the park, really. And I sort of echo everything Adrian said, really. The midfield is a massive battleground in this match, and it's an area in which Chelsea came up short against Brighton last weekend, and it's an area where Arsenal have really asserted their dominance so far this season. So fascinated to see how that plays out tactically. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, the market is saying, just like Adrian said, that Arsenal so far have been the much better team of the two. The league table suggests that too. But even if you look at the raw numbers, Chelsea have scored 17 Premier League goals this season. Arsenal have hit 30. That's a huge difference. And only 3 of Chelsea's opponents are in the top 8 right now. So the schedule's not been really difficult for them. Arsenal have scored multiple goals in 9 of 12. On 6 occasions, they've scored at least 3 goals. Chelsea have scored multiple goals in 6 of 12, and only once have they scored 3 or more goals as well. He's run through the XG numbers as well. They're all very, very positive in Arsenal's favour, and very underwhelming from a Chelsea perspective too. So in terms of open play, the advantages with Arsenal, set pieces, Arsenal have definitely been proficient in that area so far this season since the set piece coach arrived as well. And ultimately, they arrive with close to a full squad, and Chelsea are going to be missing Kante and Fofana and James. I think Kepa and Koulibaly are now doubts after picking up Knox as well. So, yeah, it's hard to make a strong case for Chelsea, even at that price. And I do get a little bit nervous backing Arsenal at shortish prices away from home in a big Premier League game when the expectation is there. But, I'm going to give them another chance. I did sort of kind of give them the vote of confidence when they went to Old Trafford, and I thought they played really well despite the defeat. So if they can repeat that kind of standard and be a bit less naive, shall we say, in the second half, then I think they're more than good enough to take something from this game. And like Adrian, I was surprised at their recent record against Chelsea's 3 wins in the last 4 Premier League meetings, including those back-to-back wins away at Stamford Bridge. Not something I associated with Arsenal. So, it's a great opportunity for them now to extend that streak.
Yeah, Miguel, you touched on when Graham Potter first came in and the new style of play that they might have that explosion of performances. And I think they've got the explosion of results. Whether they have the performances or not remains to be seen. But look, I was looking at the Chelsea lineup against Arsenal in April, and only 4 of that starting lineup are in the running for starting on Sunday, which it kind of just shows the amount of transition and processes in for Potter and all the changes he has to make here on Chelsea.
Yeah, and also, I mean, what tends to happen with those sort of periods as well, and it's usually exactly around this time, 2 months in, there's a plateau, which we're arguably seeing before the next stage of, I suppose, the coaching takes place. But from that perspective, I must say this is one of a few games this weekend I find extremely difficult to predict or assess anyway. And even Arsenal, I mean, you would think momentum's with them, but then, of course, that's only from last Sunday, which was kind of it was quite an interesting game in that the first half threatened to basically go like Arsenal's recent matches, all the games since the Liverpool game, which was a positive start, only for their momentum and rhythm to kind of run out and to be kind of hanging on. And Forest started to create chances, and it was only when Nelson came on and they got that goal in the second half that suddenly it was as if there was this release around Arsenal. Now, whether that applies just to that game, or we'll see it now for this run-in until the World Cup break, well, I suppose the truth of that's going to come on Sunday. But then, of course, as the lads have touched on the other side, it's very hard to assess where Chelsea are right now, in that you can see what Potter's trying to do, but it's not all that convincing yet. It's nice. It's had some good moments, but you're still feeling there's not that real Chelsea substance there. And for all those reasons, I think the safest as regards this game is that basically, I suppose, both defenses are porous enough, I think, porous is maybe the wrong word, given Chelsea's run before the Brighton game. But both defenses can be got at. They're up against high-quality attackers. And yeah, I mean, my instinct is almost for a 1-1, but I think both teams to score is just, it feels like it's set up for that.
Yeah, both teams to score currently 1.76 and in around the same price, Arsenal, a quarter of a goal. And I'll go with the Adrian and Mark pick here at Arsenal plus a quarter. That's on Matchbook. You'll see that at plus 0.0/0.5, and that's currently 1.75. So